Ivy Toronto Wall of Fame. So this week, instead of me telling a story about the Wall of Fame, I decided to kind of do something sort of like a prequel. It starts off back in the day when I lived in Windsor, Ontario. So I grew up going to a Catholic high school, full uniform and the kilt, woohoo! And yeah, we had lots of rules and regulations as to what we were and were not allowed to wear. So I loved I had this amazing Guns N' Roses ring. It was slashed his head, it had little, the skull thing and the cigarette. And then I had my Guns N' Roses cross with, the little banner and whatever. Every time I went into religion class, I had to button my shirt all the way up, stick my cross in, and then I'd take my ring and turn it around before I was even allowed to enter the building. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So how it all started was, it actually started with my brother. My brother was a big rocker guy. And one of the things that we used to do was I used to be allowed to go in his room, which was, a big deal in my house. I went in his room and we used to listen to, Def Leppard, Poison, Guns N' Roses, all the cool bands when he was young. And I thought, wow, what kind of music is this? Up until then, I was only really exposed to, adult contemporary, with my mom and whatever, right? So I kind of grew up listening to that kind of music, as well as my dad. My dad was ZZ Top and, all those kind of bands from when he was young. And then I had my other dad who had a whole other different type of music. So yeah, one of the songs he used to sing, for example, is, that song? In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Every time he used to pick us up for a weekend visit, he used to sing that song. I don't know why, but whatever. So back to high school. So when I was in high school, I had a couple of friends and I, basically got along with everybody, but I didn't really fit in because, I really didn't seem like everybody else, which was fine. So me and my girlfriend, we used to go to these places, coffee shops in downtown Windsor. Now in Windsor, there's not really a lot to do because, for teenagers, like any place, you have to find what you can do. So we used to go for coffee every day after school. And this is kind of where it all started. I used to go to this coffee shop called Second Cup. Now, at Second Cup, there was always, especially on Friday nights, there was always a guy playing his little guitar. And he'd sing his song, and me and my friends, we would sit there and watch him play. Now, for me, I'm like, as far as this camera is from me to this, that's how far the guitar player was. And I was just like, wow, you know how to play guitar? That's pretty awesome. So it started off that, I started going to the coffee shops and I started, enjoying the bands. Now outside, they used to sit outside and they used to play their guitar and we used to sing with them. And, Tim Pinniger was one of them and he has a new band. I'll actually post their link in the description. But I used to love him. When he had this amazing voice, and I'm so glad that he's still continuing with his music. But he was one of the people that used to busk outside and he used to play his guitar. We used to sing with him and whatever. So going downtown, going to the coffee shops, I used to meet tons of different people. And it was from all different schools. So it was all the, alternative freaks, geeks, all the people that didn't really belong all went to the coffee shops. All the musicians type of people used to go to the coffee shops as well. So that's where I met other people. So one of the people, they start passing out flyers and stuff. You got to come to my concert. So I got this poster. It was a band, and they played at this school. It was beside us. I used to go to Catholic Central, so Kennedy. And you got to come to this concert. Okay, so I never been to a concert either than, I went to Glass Tiger with my mom, and I went to Bare Naked Ladies with my sister, because my stepmom, she worked at the box office and got us free tickets. And yeah, anyways, that's another story in itself. So it ends up that they give us this poster. I asked my mom, please, please, please let me go to this concert. She's like, okay. It was right up the road from my house. I grew up on Church off of Park. And where this place was, I would say Polisher off of University. It was called the Acapulco Delight. Now, these kind of bands had nowhere to play. It's not like Windsor's really a musical city. You figure that it would be because it's across from Detroit, but it's a small car city. So really, you would figure that there'd be more places. Yeah, there's a few places, but anyways, we'll talk about that later. So I ended up going and we went and it was at the Sleazy Mexican Bar. Now, I say sleazy very loosely. That's what people who were with me called it. They were like, oh, this is the only place they can play. They used to play there, they used to play in the basement. So my first exposure to actually friends of mine being in a band was this band called Pixie's Wish. Adam, we used to call him Lips, Joe Birmingham, I think he's still on my friends list on Facebook, and a couple other people, and they were pretty good. And I remember them in their little Pixie t-shirts, and they were trying to sell and stuff. So that's kind of where it all started. So after that, I started going to different concerts, different places wherever I was basically allowed. And in Windsor, it was always at a coffee shop, or it was in the basement of a coffee shop. So there was this place, it was also called Ground Zero. We used to go there. Second Cup was always another place. There was a couple other places that we used to go to, and it was always involving music. Now, after a few years, I started getting into a different type of music. Now, I always loved to dance. I don't know if you knew that about me, but I am a big dancer. So what happened was, we started off going to dance clubs and stuff like that. And then we started getting into the electronic music and going to listen to DJs and stuff like that. So the electronic music thing, when it was in Michigan, it actually got really big in Windsor, and, lots of fun stuff. So I started kind of doing that. One of the bigger concerts I went to was, they had this thing, they used to have a really big Freedom Festival. Now, what happened at the Freedom Festival was they used to share it with the states. And so they wouldn't have it on the 4th, they wouldn't have it on the 1st, they'd have it somewhere in between, and then the Windsor waterfront would expand this huge carnival, and then they put up a stage, and they usually have bands play. So one of the years I went, they had it, this is I think after they had built it in front of the casino, and they had 3 Days Grace, Theory of a Dead Man, let me look, I think it's actually on here somewhere. Oh, it doesn't say who. Theory of a Dead Man and 3 special guests. Wednesday, June 25th, 2003. So, I actually have it. See, I've been collecting all of this stuff for a very long time. So, anyways, that was another concert that I went to, and it was a fun night. So, that's a little bit of history of where it all kind of came and went and whatever. So, we're going to talk about how it ended up following me to Toronto. So, as I got older, I started going to concerts and tribute bands and, things like that. Kept up with the music thing. And one of my friends had a benefit concert for her child because he needed to get surgery. So they had it at this place. I forget what it was called, but one of the times it was called, it used to be on here on church. Maybe someone could name it because I'm sure that somebody out there knows it. It used to be called Spinners. And then it was named something else, and then it was named something else. So I don't know what it was called at that point. I forget. So anyways, if you know, put it in this description or add it as a comment. So I went there, and they had this band called Destroyer. Okay, so for all you people out there watching, you know what Destroyer is. Destroyer is the ultimate Kiss band. Kiss tribute band, sorry. And they really rock it. So a long time ago in a land far away, this band played in Windsor for the tribute. Now, it was a fantastic concert and whatever, and afterwards, I'm standing there and I'm, looking at this one member, and he has this makeup on and whatever, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, I know him. I don't know where I know him from, but with the makeup, as you know, Gene Simmons looks like not Gene Simmons when he has his makeup on. So this dude did not look like the guy. He was really... So I looked at him, and then finally walks up to me and he goes, Kyla, don't you remember me? And I'm like, no. He says, Chris Goldsmith. Chris Goldsmith. I was Corey's friend. Okay, so I used to date this guy named Corey. And Chris was a friend of his, and he used to bring his guitar, and he used to play all the time, and apparently he was in the Kiss tribute band. So one of the songs, I don't know if he has it up there. I should search YouTube to see if he had it. He wrote this song about weed. Great song. But, yeah, so a small world, he ends up in this band. We talk. We got caught up for a couple of minutes, and there was a couple other people who used to be friends with my ex-boyfriend, and caught up with them. So years and years later, I end up, in Toronto and whatever, and one of the tribute bands that I ended up with, seeing at Rock and Roll Heaven, was Destroyer. Now, how amazing is that? It's like, years and years later, I'm like, I've seen you guys. Yeah, I seen you there in Windsor. So, yeah, it's kind of funny how everything kind of happens and follows you, and it's all together. It's called synchronicity. I don't know if you guys know what that word means, but look it up, because synchronicity always happens to me. You know, like when you're in the right place at the right time, kind of something like that. Or like, you know, when you're walking down the street and you walk down the street and all of a sudden, you know, you see your friend and you know, boom, you meet them and you're walking together. It's like stuff like that. So yeah, so that's a little bit of history of Windsor. Now, some of the places I used to go and that I know are still going is the Loop, Pogo's, Coach and Horses, which is one big building. The Dominion House is another one that I used to go to. There's a couple other places that I don't know if they're still going or not. I know the Milk Coffee Bar is one of the places that are still going that I used to love going to, which is awesome because it's so sad. When I went to Windsor to see all the places that I used to go to are all different or closed down. It's really saddening to go to your hometown and see it like the way it is now. So I really, really am thankful that I grew up the way I did and I was able to go out and enjoy the music, because it kind of led me to where I am today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like, subscribe to my channel. I make new videos at least once a week. And yeah, enjoy the music, because you know I have. And I will share another story from the Wall of Fame. I just wanted to give you a little quick history, or prequel, or I don't know, whatever it's called. So yeah, love, peace, and music.